yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to our practice today. I've had a few requests for a shorter kind of low back release class that really helps kind of release the space of the lower back. Now it's going to seem like some of these poses are not related directly to the back, but I promise you they are. A lot of low back pain comes or starts lower down in the body, so through the feet or calves or tightness in the hamstrings or tension in the front and back of the legs or the hip flexors. So we're going to work through this entire part of the body to kind of open up some space and give you a little bit of relief. You don't need a single thing for this practice, but if you would like to use a strap for one of our poses, I will let you know when that is, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. So we're going to start on our backs. Bring the bottoms of the feet flat, about hip distance apart. Take the hands alongside the hips, palms facing down. And we're just going to start with some pelvic tilts. So pressing the lower back into the floor all the way flat and then tilting it away, lifting it up. So sort of like cat-cow, but on your back. Take about 5 of these nice, long, slow breaths. We're going to move nice and slow and mindfully in this practice. Couple more, pressing into the lower back. This is great to sort of bring awareness and activation to the core, which is what supports our lower back, all the way around the core. And then letting the back settle into its natural place. So notice where the natural curve of your back is here. We're going to bring that right knee into the chest, walk that left leg out a little bit, but keep the foot flat, knee bent. So you can take your hand behind your knee or in front of it. You're going to circle the ankles, point and flex the toes, wave like the queen side to side, and then pull that knee into the chest a little bit tighter. Use your biceps and triceps to pull it in a little bit more. And then take that left leg out straight. You're going to take that left hand to the outside of the right knee and pull that knee over. Right arm can go out to the right. Now you may not get all the way down to the floor, or you may get all the way to the floor. Find where you're at here. Use a little pressure in that left hand to pull a little bit deeper. Keep some activation in that left leg. And then come back to center, bend that left knee, put the foot flat. You're going to take your hands interlaced behind that right leg. So here's where the strap might come in handy. If you have a strap, you can wrap it around the ball of the foot. You're going to flex your toes really strongly, flex your foot really strongly. We're trying to get all the way from the heel, all the way back the back side of the leg up. So if you have more mobility, you can take your hands behind your calf muscle or grab hold of your feet. Pull that leg to you. Now it may shake and wiggle, that's okay. Take a couple of breaths here. And then let that leg down. We're going to switch sides. So here, this time we're going to bring that left knee into the chest. Walk that right leg out a little bit. We're going to circle the ankle, point and flex the toes, go both directions. Wave like the queen, and then pull that knee a little bit closer into the chest. Use your biceps and triceps to give a little bit more pull here. This is one of my favorite stretches first thing in the morning if my back is feeling a little bit cranky. Even right before I go to bed at night too, really releases a lot of the pressure in the lower back. We don't think so much about the back of the legs or the hips affecting our low back, but it really does. One more deep breath here. And start to slide that right leg out. Flex the toes over here. Take that right hand to the outside of the left knee. Pull that knee over. Take the left arm out if you like. Use a little pressure to pull it and keep that right leg active as if you're standing on it. Then gently come back to center. Bend both knees here. You're going to take that left leg up straight. Hands behind the leg, behind the back of the leg. Flex the toes strongly. Straighten the leg out as much as you can. Pull it into you a little closer if you can. You can always reach up, grab hold of the foot or the back of the calf, or use a strap around the ball of the foot a little bit closer in. 3 nice deep breaths. Remember here again, you may be shaking. There's a lot of tightness for a lot of people in the back of the leg. You can see how this is sort of contribute to some tension in the back. And release. Let that foot down. We're going to go ahead and come all the way onto our hands and knees. Now, I always love cat-cow because it really opens up the space, but we're going to focus on each little vertebrae at a time. So you're going to take your hips first, the low back, and then move into cow tilt. And then just the opposite direction. You're going to tuck that pelvis under and lift up into cat arch. Always originating that movement at the low base of the spine and moving up nice and slow. And letting it just kind of naturally occur. Couple more at your own breath pace, moving super slow. This allows you to really focus on each vertebrae at a time. And then coming back to center and sort of curving round, so going off the train tracks, maybe shifting the hips back, taking the right side out to the right, curving the head in, making little circles in the hips. And then maybe shifting direction halfway through. Letting your whole body get a little stretch here. It's moving in ways that we don't normally, that kind of shake out some of the tension in the body. Coming back to center into our tabletop position. We're going to take that right leg back behind us, flip the toes over, and then rock back so we can stretch the back of the calf muscles and the hamstring. So take a few breaths here. If you want a little bit more, you can lift that left knee off the floor. Here you get a little core action too, right? Really flex those toes. I tend to have very tight calves, so this really helps me. And then drop that left knee down if you've lifted it up. You're going to take that right leg way over to the left, and you're going to turn and look over your left shoulder. Nice big IT band side body stretch here. Pressing into that toe, flexing the toe strongly. And then coming back to center, we're going to switch sides. Left leg out back behind you, flip the toes, rock back. You can stay here or you can lift that right knee off the floor. Really flexing those toes, stretching the calf muscle, the Achilles tendon, all the way up into the back of the kneecap and part of the hamstring. One more deep breath. Drop that knee down. You're going to take that left leg over to the right, look up over the right shoulder, press into the heel. Nice big left side body stretch. And then come back to center. You're going to come all the way down onto your belly. So Sphinx pose, forearms out in front of you, palms flat. If you have a lot of lower back pain, you can take those heels wider or closer together, depending on where you're at here. You're going to pull yourself forward, hands using into the mat, tops of the feet firmly into the mat. Lengthen the spine. Now in this pose, think about making space. So instead of just crunching into it, lift the core a little bit and make a little space. Activate the entire body. And then come all the way down. We're going to take their hands out to the side. Little kind of Spider-Man fingers. Elbows up nice and tall. Walk them back a little bit. Tops of the feet into the floor. Inhale, lift up. Down the center here. Exhale down. Little different cobra here. Inhale, lift up. Look over the right shoulder. And down. Inhale, look over the left shoulder. And down. Inhale, center. We're going to take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lift a little higher. And exhale, come down. You're going to stack your hands on top of one another, and you can keep your head lifted or place it on top of your hands. We're going to do a little locust pose variation. Now inhale, you're going to lift that right leg off the floor. You're going to keep the hip point on the floor, toes pointed, left foot pressed into the floor. One more deep breath. And drop that leg down. Don't worry if you're shaking. You're using some core and lower back. Your lower back is part of your core. Inhale, lift the other leg. Hip point down, toes stretched out. Press into those right foot. You're really activating the body through here. Relax that leg down, take the hands underneath the shoulders. Bring the big toes together, knees closer together in a close-kneed child's pose. Now I know there are variations that take both. I love them wide, but sometimes it's nice to have them close together, and it stretches a different part of the hips and the back. Now if this pose is not your friend, you can always take puppy pose, which is a little bit gentler on the lower back if you have low back issues that cause this to feel a little bit less comfortable. And then we're going to take the wide-kneed child pose. So take the big toes together, knees wide. Walk our hands out. And then we're going to walk them way, 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 way over to the right. So I want you to walk that left hand out even further than you normally would. So I'm going to move over so you can see me a little bit better here. Shift that arm way, way, way out. Feel the stretch and kind of grab onto the mat and feel that into the low back. Come back to center, walk yourself all the way through, take the opposite side. Here again, you're going to walk that right hand out a little bit further. Use a little tension and stretch here with the hand to open up that low back space. And then come back to center, come up on the fingertips, lengthen out, press the hips back. And then come all the way down onto your back. So I'm going to take a little windshield wiper stretch here. So walk the feet as wide as the mat or even wider if that feels comfortable for you. You're just going to drop the knees over to the left. You're going to take that left heel on top of that right thigh if you can. If not, just stay with the windshield wiper opening. Arms out to the side and use a little bit of pressure there to kind of press that knee down a little bit more. So you get a little big stretch down the IT band, the lower back, the side body. Couple of breaths here. Release that left heel, come back to center, drop over to the opposite side. Same thing here. Take that right heel on top of the left thigh, turn and look over the shoulder. Use a little pressure here to get some nice opening in that compartment of the hip and low back. Release that ankle. Come back to where you were at the very start. Do a couple of little pelvic tilts, pressing the low back into the floor and shifting away. Hands right next to your hips. Lift your hips up just a little bit into a real low bridge. Maybe a little higher. And then let the back come down. Drop the knees together, take the feet wide, hands to the belly, take a few breaths. Settle into your short little shavasana here, but just really breathing into the space of the back and the core. Noticing if you have a little bit more opening in the legs as well. And then gently rolling over to your side and pressing yourself up to whatever seated position you like best. Taking your hands to your heart space, taking a couple of moments here to just kind of feel into the body and see where you're at. Peace and namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed this little low back release. This is one I actually do often in bed when I first wake up, or when I get on my mat first thing in the morning when my back's feeling a little cranky, or I feel like I have a lot of tension in my hamstrings and hips to contribute to my back, or right before bed is a great way to sort of unwind that tension of the body. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week.